A UK-wide manhunt was launched this week after a terror suspect, an ex-soldier, successfully escaped from London's Wandsworth prison. 21-year-old Daniel Abed Khalife was awaiting trial at the Category B facility over accusations he left fake bombs at a military base while serving in the British Army. He'd been working in the prison kitchen and escaped by attaching himself to the underside of a food van. His escape put the nation on high alert and has seen motorways closed, airport security enhanced, and an investigation launched. But it's not the first time a prison break has hit the headlines in the UK. Here's 5 of the most notorious escapes of Brits behind bars. We go back to Wandsworth Prison for perhaps the most notorious escape of all, Ronnie Biggs, aka one of the great train robbers. Back in 1965, he managed to scale the prison wall and escape after serving less than 2 years of his 30-year sentence for being part of the crew that stole over £2.6 million from a Royal Mail train. After his escape, Biggs spent 36 years on the run, fleeing first to Australia and then Brazil. He was arrested when he returned to the UK in 2001 and died in 2013 after he was released from prison on compassionate grounds. The biggest breakout in UK history happened in 1983, when not 1, not 2, but 38 IRA prisoners broke out of the maximum security Maze prison in Northern Ireland's County Antrim. It began when the men took some of the prison guards hostage using guns and knives they had smuggled in, and sadly led to one of the guards losing their life. And using their weapons, they were able to hijack a food lorry to leave the prison. Prime Minister at the time, Margaret Thatcher, called it the gravest breakout in present history. But 15 of the escapees were captured that same day. 2 more provisional IRA members made their own escapes from Brixton Prison in South London in 1991. Pierce Macaulay and Nessun Quinlivan had been awaiting trial here on charges of plotting assassination and bombing attempts. But after again holding a guard hostage using smuggled-in guns, they stole a prison officer's car, drove to Baker Street Station, and fled to the Republic of Ireland. They were never caught, and they won't be behind bars anytime soon either. In 2009, the Crown Prosecution Service said they weren't looking to prosecute, as there was no realistic chance of conviction. There's something a little bit James Bond about this next escape, when the double-agent Soviet spy George Blake escaped from Wormwood Scrubs in 1966. Only 5 years earlier, the former MI6 agent had been sentenced to 42 years behind bars. But in a case even 007 might struggle to solve, he scaled the prison wall using a ladder made of knitting needles before he fled to the former Soviet Union and never returned. It's thought he was living in Moscow from his escape up until his death in 2020, aged 98. And finally, a convict who became something of an escapologist, either breaking out of prison or breaching his licence conditions 4 times over a 43-year sentence. John Massey was one of Britain's longest-serving inmates after shooting dead a bouncer in 1975. He first escaped in 1994 when he evaded guards while on a visit to see his parents in London. And from here, he made it all the way to Spain, where he spent nearly 4 years before being caught. He broke curfew after being released on parole in 2007. But after being back behind bars, he made another escape and spent 10 more months on the run. And for his final trick in Pentonville Prison in 2012, he hid in the gym before sneaking onto the roof and jumping over the high walls. Due to his constant misdemeanors, he was denied release 3 times, but was finally let out in 2018.